Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tarot with Titania reading for the week, August 13th to 20th. I invite you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths with me. Pull yourself into this present moment, right here, right now. Just imagine a tree root coming out of the base of your spine, anchoring you deep into Mother Earth, becoming a conduit through which whatever no longer serves you can easily and effortlessly pass down into Mother Earth and become compost for new growth. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I'm about to do a reading for our collective highest and greatest benefit for this week. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information that we most need to receive right now, and to provide that in a manner that will be easily and effortlessly heard, understood, and integrated for our highest and greatest well-being, and the well-being of anyone listening to this recording now and in the future. I invite my higher self and the higher selves of all those listening now and in the future to be present and facilitate this exchange and ensure that we cover whatever is in our collective heart and mind at this time for our collective highest and greatest good, our greatest service to life, and the greatest good of all life here on this planet, including the planet herself. I'd like to invite the 4 archangels to come and hold the 4 directions around us, creating a sacred container of light, of love, of wisdom, of clarity, of healing, of beauty, and transformation. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for coming. Anything that doesn't match our intentions of clarity and light, beauty, healing, transformation, well-being is welcome to go now. So let's get started, shall we? So, Creator, what is it that we need to know for the week ahead, for our highest and greatest good, that we may be at our best and provide our best service, our best offerings to life, and be all that we're here to be in a good way, following our preferences, following our joy, and expressing appreciation and gratitude as we go. Okay. All right. First card, recent past, the Emperor. It's the major arcana. The Emperor is 4s are very stable, and it's the 4 of the major arcana. The higher octave of the Emperor is vision. It's reason and vision. It's that practical, linear, more masculine kind of quality energy. You see, the Emperor sits on this big throne, big wide throne at the base of the mountain. It's this very grounded, very solid energy. This is the energy that we're coming from and moving out of, but it continues with us. And it's this energy of grounding, this energy of being deeply present, deeply rooted, and seeing clearly. This is what we're calling forth as we move forward into the week ahead. And the present card is the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is someone who, well, qualities that we have probably because it's here in the reading. The Queen of Pentacles is qualities of practicality. It's the earth element, business, material things, but it's the queen, so she really knows how those things work. She's a very shrewd businesswoman, and yet at the same time she's not in it to exploit others or to only profit for herself. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who sees the possibilities in the world space or in the material space and likes to put people and resources and opportunities together for the greater good. The win-win-win, so to speak. So this is the energy in our present environment, keeping our eyes open for the win-win-win, where we get to participate, others get to participate, we all get to bring our gifts, and we all get to move life forward in a positive way. So this is the energy this week. As I said, Pentacles, I've said in the past, Pentacles is the earth element. It has to do with material things. It has to do with shelter, with food, with money, resources, that kind of idea. But this is the shrewd use or leverage of those resources, the smart, intentional use of those resources for one's own good and the collective good. So there's this energy of the feminine here because it's the queen, not the king. So it's this idea more of community and collaborative kind of quality to this business-like and practical application and use of resources. In the near future, we have the legacy card, which we've seen before. It's a very powerful card, this idea of thinking beyond ourselves, thinking 7 generations forward, thinking about beyond our own lifespan. What are we contributing to? How are we living our lives? How are we making the future evolve? How are our choices impacting not only our own children, but our grandchildren and their children, etc., etc. So our choices on how we're damaging the planet, our choices on how we're living our lives, and how sustainable are we? How are we contributing to a future for future generations? And I think for many of us, this feels overwhelming. Even just considering this a little bit feels overwhelming, because once we start to look and see the choices that were offered in our culture that we've collectively created, we realize the damage and the ongoing level of damage that's happening. And so it can feel overwhelming to sort of take a step back and go, okay, I want to make a difference, but how do I begin to make a difference? And if everybody did the same thing, in the sense that if we all took a step back and just said, okay, where in my life could I minimize the damage, minimize my impact in the world, it would make a huge difference collectively. We as consumers spend a lot of money, and if we change how we spend our money and we're more intentional about it, putting our money towards what is important to us and the future of the planet, that would be dramatic and would send a very loud message. So in this near future card, we're talking about the energies of this week, but this sort of is going on in the background is this energy of the future beyond us, the future beyond our children, again, our legacy piece. What are we creating? How are we creating it in our lives? And is our legacy, what is our legacy going to be to those future generations? And how do we take responsibility now to turn it around? Even financially, with this pandemic and the measures that have been put in place and the money being printed out of thin air and that sort of thing to soften the blow. Well, that's just been passed down the road to our children and our children's children. Just being aware of the impact of our current choices. So that's on the plate this week. That's what we're considering. That's what we're looking towards. This is how are we going to make wise choices now for the well-being of the future with the long vision here. As I said, the Emperor, the higher octave is vision and reason. It's this practical, long-term view of resources and people and a plan that will get us through in a good way. The foundation of the card is sacrifice, which is very apropos this conversation of these cards here. How are we going to make choices? And then what are those choices going to look like in our life? And we can choose to look at it as a sacrifice. No more strawberries in January. Or we can choose to look at it as our contribution to the future. It's all a matter of lens. It's all a matter of reframe. It's just, how are we looking at these things? We could feel deprived, or we can simply say, no, this is important to me, and this is the contribution that I'm going to make. I'm going to stop using toxic laundry detergent, and I'm going to use one that's environmentally friendly. Or I'm going to stop using laundry detergent and use, those laundry balls or whatever it is. Just an example, right? I'm going to drive less. I'm going to ride my bike more. I'm going to take public transit. I'm going to reduce my use of plastics. Just small intentional choices like that can take us a long way. And it doesn't have to be a point of suffering or a point of discomfort. It can be a meaningful contribution that we're making from our heart, from love, to the planet, to our future generations, out of service, out of wanting to, not because it's diminishing our experience at all, but understanding that our choosing to do it is augmenting our experience, because we're choosing more life for the future. So this idea, this foundation card for this week is this idea of sacrifice. How can we reframe sacrifice to so that it's an empowering lens rather than a disempowering lens, that we're choosing this in a good way rather than in a self-depriving way. It's just a matter of how we look at it. But it's very interesting how this week is very much about this energy of the long view, of wise management of resources now, with the idea of the community of collaboration, of doing things well with the thought to future generations and the legacy piece that we're leaving behind, and how that's personal and collective, because we personally can create so much change and transformation with our own choices, and if enough of us are doing it, collectively we create change. But also, from our leadership, what are we wanting from them? I think we've been really clear that this past 18 months has been intense, and it's lit up a lot of things. And what do we want our future to look like? How do we want that to go? Do we want some dystopian future where everything is just exploited and dreadful and nasty? Polluted air, polluted water, polluted food? Or are we going to take our power as the people and make our leaders listen to what it is that we want? Healthy air, healthy waters, healthy soil, healthy growing practices, healthy food choices, healthy animal, raising of the food, not just animal husbandry, but all of that aspect, maybe reducing our consumption of animal products. There's a lot of things here that we personally can start to do to change our lives. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to go vegan tomorrow, but just changing a little bit at a time will make a big difference. And some would say sooner the better. So yeah, interesting this week, but it's very much about this big game, this long game. What is the future? How are we managing it? How are we creating it? How can we do it without feeling like we're depriving ourselves, but understanding that we're creating a beautiful future for our children, a beautiful contribution. Wise management of the now for future benefit. So from this, let's see what our card to grow on is this week. I guess I will pack these up, as I usually do, don't I? Our summary card for this week. What do we need to know going forward this week? What do we remember? What do we hold with us as we navigate this week and all that it brings our way? If enough of us think about the future in this way, we will make a huge difference. There are so many wonderful people working on the different pieces of the solutions that we need. I have great faith in humanity. We maybe don't have it all figured out, but we do deeply care. And from that place, we can create magnificent things. And maybe undo some of the not so magnificent things we've been up to. Okay. So our card to grow on this week for our collective highest and greatest good and clarity as we navigate the energies this week, so we know what to focus on and how to focus. The Empress. I really like this card. So the Empress she's the quality as she sits in a garden. She's often pictured as being pregnant. There's often sheaves of wheat growing at her feet, but there's this quality of abundance, of beauty, of high summer, of resilience, of well-being, yet at the same time is deeply feminine, deeply rooted in beauty and well-being and harmony, love. She's often, as I said, represented as being pregnant, so there's that quality of the maternity, of, again, lineage, of that continuation of the line. In this instance, when I think about the Empress, this is creative imagination is the higher octave. This is multiplication, it's 3, which means that things are multiplying or becoming more than they were. Those qualities of energy are what the Empress represents. So for us this week, how do we need to be? Well, if you're here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's not too hard. It's beautiful summertime. And enjoying that. Again, this idea of taking that deep breath, that inspiration dropping into your body, being in your body and enjoying what is around you, enjoying the beauty that surrounds you and savoring it and allowing yourself to take that in and imprint it on your cells, the beauty imprinted on your cells, the space imprinted on your cells. It changes your biology over time when you spend enough time in beauty and intentional well-being. It's also about creativity, creative imagination, multiplication, becoming more than we were. And so this idea of creation, of making things, of doing things, and letting this expand us, expand our way of thinking, our way of being, our way of doing things on the planet. So our work this week is the Empress, this idea of largesse, of beauty, of enjoying the beauty, of being fertile and abundant and generous and loving and present and so appreciative and grateful of all that we're surrounded by. And in that spirit, that energy of creativity. If you have a creative outlet, please go there this week. Please spend time there, because when we're in that creative, generative space, that too is deeply healing and deeply renewing, and those channels are open and messages can come through. And you'll find that you will get the guidance if you're willing to just be still and open and be in that, as I said, that channel of light space, which is what all creativity is, because the generative life force is the Spirit of God, is the Spirit of the divine flowing through us. And when we spend time tending that and enlarging it and playing with it, we are tapping into that profound channel of life energy, and profound information and messages and well-being can come through there. So spend time there this week. That's your homework. Well, my friends, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm hoping to be able to present you with another reading next week, but I have yet to sort that one out as I'm away from my setup here. But I might get creative and do something a little wacky and different. So hopefully you will be with me for that. I look forward to seeing you all again. Not that I really see you, but you are in my heart and in my mind, and I wish you well. Creator, this is your daughter Titania. I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this reading this week for our collective highest and greatest well-being. I ask that you be with us as we move forward in life, open our hearts and minds to what we can do personally to add to a beautiful legacy for the future. How can we clean up our lives, clean up our act, clean up our beingness on this planet so that we can turn the future in a good way, away from some dystopian, dreadful thing to something full of beauty and full of well-being for all life everywhere, not just humanity. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do these readings. I'm grateful to all of you for being on this call and for being willing to grow and become more than you were. It's a wonderful thing about being human. We get to evolve if we choose it. So thank you for choosing it. Much love and light, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.